Hey you guys, how's it going? It's the Crypto Lark here. Today we're talking about Debitum Network's ICO. They are focused on bringing financing to small and medium-sized businesses around the world, leveraging the power of the blockchain to do just that very thing. We're going to be talking about just what it is Debitum is trying to do and talk about any risks that might be associated with this ICO. Before we get into all of those details, as always, a quick shout out to everyone who has been hitting that like button, and of course everybody who has been subscribing to the channel. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, button is just down there. Go ahead and hit it up to stay up to date with all of the latest in cryptocurrencies. Quick disclaimer as well, this is an ICO review. Please do your own research and your own due diligence before investing your own money in any project, as all ICOs do carry a certain amount of inherent risk. Furthermore, this is a sponsored review. The team at Debitum Network has reached out to me for a review of their project, although I have, of course, retained the right for an honest and open review, and that is what is going to follow. So let's get into it. Now, what is the problem that Debitum is trying to solve? Well, small and medium-sized enterprises really can have a hard time getting money. And this is not just in, of course, big countries where it's still a problem, but really if you start looking at emerging markets, it becomes incredibly difficult for these little businesses to actually get the financing they need to start the projects they want to start. Currently, it's estimated there is a $2 trillion gap between the people who want money and the money that's actually available for them. The banks just aren't interested. It's too much work for them. The profit margins aren't as big as simply going to giant financial investors, for example, and investing there, or investing in giant corporations. This is small beans for them, but it's a giant market when you put it all together. Now, if you're an investor and you want to invest in these small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs for short, in these emerging markets, well, you're probably also excluded. The infrastructure is probably just not there for you to be able to invest, and there's probably also regulatory hurdles that are going to be a big problem for you. Some of the biggest gaps in this market particularly are actually in Eastern Europe and the Balkans. Now, Debitum is actually a company which is based out of Lithuania, so they're well positioned to address Eastern Europe as a starting market, moving globally from there. Just how is Debitum going to address these different problems? Well, using the power of the blockchain to create a trust network that will help investors, for example, in first world countries, invest in projects in emerging markets, knowing that they have the blockchain there to back them up. Furthermore, the guys who are starting Debitum have a lot of experience in this business, and they actually have already got investors, investment funds, and clients waiting for this project to launch. They, of course, just need the blockchain to get it going. Once these tokens are out there, they will actually be able to start using this immediately. So they've already got people who are ready to use it, which is fantastic. This is a hybrid model of crypto to blockchain to fiat. Basically, as an investor, I'll put in 10,000 euros. It'll go through Debitum, be transacted in cryptocurrency, and end up on the receiver end back in fiat currency. Now, they're going to be handling all the different steps of the process: verification, risk assessment, insurance, and they're even going to have a secondary market as part of this ecosystem. I think that's really important. So imagine you're an investor, you invest in a project, 6 months later, you need cash. Something's happened, you got to get out of your investment. Well, that investment has been tokenized. You can very easily sell that investment off on the secondary market that Debitum is going to be running. Very powerful stuff right there. Now, they actually already have the network up, at least the MVP is up, so you can actually come over here and sign in, have a look of how the whole thing looks. So this is your account here, and this would track all of your investments over time to see how you're doing. You can of course check in here, for example, and see what new investment potentials are out there. This is of course the secondary market here, so you can look and see, oh, that's got an 11.5% interest rate. Sounds interesting. Let me invest. Click and you're done. So that is a very user-friendly interface. I certainly do like that about it. If they can make this process easy and user-friendly, it will be popular with the people who are wanting to invest in such a thing. Now, the team are a very interesting team. Now these guys, Martin and Donatas and Justas, they have all been working at Debitum and Intech, both successful companies so far. They have a lot of experience in finance, in the finance of small and medium-sized enterprises. They've got a big team of people gathered together here. We've got blockchain people, we've got people working for software. They're taking their existing team, moving it over to the blockchain project, and are going to be able to leverage that in their favor. So really good stuff here. They've also been able to attract some really interesting advisors. We have Eyal Herzog. Of course, he is the co-founder of Bancor. We've seen him involved with quite a few interesting projects recently. This is yet another one that he is involved with that is quite interesting and a good name to see on the advisor list. They have managed to attract quite a few other advisors too across the space, looking at risk assessment and business development. So they've got the right minds in place in order to be able to pull this off, which is always a good thing to see. Having a look here at the roadmap, we can see that Debitum started off as a company back in 2015. The blockchain idea has been developed more recently in 2017. Crowd sale, of course, is underway very, very soon. The network will be being built throughout next year, looking at a public launch not until the end of next year. So that is something you do need to keep in mind if you are going to be investing in this project. This is a long-term hold. You need to hold on to this one for at least a year before you see the real value come through, preferably longer. The more business they do, the more value these tokens will have in the long run. Now that brings us to our next point. What about the token? Well, the token itself is of course instrumental to the ecosystem. The borrowers, the assessors, the insurers, the investors, the debt collectors, all the transactions that take place will take place using the Debitum token. You might say, well, why not just use Ethereum for this? Do we really need the Debitum token? Yeah, absolutely. The Debitum token is offering specific smart contracts. You know, it offers you that legal flexibility. And of course, you can always change chains later, which offers them that flexibility. If in the future the Ethereum network becomes too busy or it isn't offering them what they would like to have as far as the value, they can always change that out later. Furthermore, the token will actually also act as an escrow style security that will help ensure, for example, delivery of services, and of course it will be used to run the trust arbitrage smart contracts. Now there will be no inflation on this token. The tokens that will be issued will be the tokens that will be available forever. There will be no inflation here. 60% of the tokens are going to be going in the sale. We'll have 10% locked up to early supporters on a 6-month vesting period, another 15% of the tokens for the team on a 1-year vesting period to make sure that they do actually get the project pulled out, because they do have that within a year time frame to get the main product launched. Another 15% will be locked up in a reserve fund to provide that counterparty should it be necessary. The team over at Debitum have been busy. They've been out making partnerships, going to conferences. They've just signed a partnership deal with Credit Info. And they've also been at D10E, which is basically an ICO pitch competition, and have actually won 2 awards there. So they've been doing very well with getting their message across, with getting people interested in their project. Now their ICO is coming up on Thursday, the 7th of December, kicking off from 3 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. there is a 30% bonus if you take part during the first round. There's 2 rounds for this here. Now the first round was going to go very, very quickly. They're only accepting 4,000 Ethereum during the first round. So that is a very low cap, and that will sell out very quickly. If you miss the first round, watch out for the second round. There will be a 46,000 Ethereum cap on the second round. Now that's about 50,000 Ethereum in total. That gives us, based on today's prices, around a $24 million total raise for the project. Now that's not a gigantic amount of money by any means. Certainly we've seen a lot of projects raising much more than that, so it does offer you a decent potential at the start to really get involved with this and have a good return moving forward. There is a very small bonus group, so that actually removes what we typically look at with a lot of ICOs nowadays, where a lot of early adopters get giant bonuses, and that creates massive sell pressure. When the tokens first hit the market, there's a very small amount of people who are going to be getting bonuses, and that won't really affect the sell pressure very much overall, in my opinion. Now, we do have to be aware of any risks involved. Now, there is competition in the space. They are not the only ones who are looking at providing financing for small and medium-sized enterprises. PIVX and Moeda are also offering financing to those kind of organizations. However, they are focused on many different things. PIVX and Moeda actually mostly focused on international remittances, also doing that kind of funding though. Operating in very different parts of the world. PIVX is focusing in Southeast Asia, Moeda is focusing in Brazil, and Debitum is focusing in Eastern Europe, but they are totally focused on getting financing to small and medium-sized enterprises. They're not worrying about remittances or any of this other stuff these other companies are doing, so they're much more focused in that regard. Now, obviously, cryptocurrencies are very volatile as well. You do have to keep in mind that if the price is too volatile, can that negatively affect the platform? Can that negatively affect investors who go and buy tokens one day to pay for the fees, and then they find they need to buy more tokens because the price has gone down? That is something to factor in here. Now, we could also, of course, have regulatory changes that would make it difficult for them to operate in certain countries, without a doubt. We have seen that happening recently in a lot of different countries. Many countries are still deciding where they want to go with blockchain technology and with cryptocurrencies in general. So that is definitely a space to watch, and they may not be able to operate in all the places that they would like to operate in. And of course, are they actually going to be able to connect with these customers? Now, all these people that want this funding, small farmers or small businesses in places like Hungary, for example, how do you get the message to them? How do you communicate with them? How do you say, hey, cryptocurrencies is the way? Let's connect you together here with an investor from Germany using this platform. If they can connect with those people, great. There's a market there without a doubt, and they're going to be the person in the middle connecting the money to the people who need the money. It's a really interesting project, but you do have to be aware of those potential risks in this ICO. So it looks really good in the sense that we have a working product, a real company with real clients who know the market very well, who have the people on board to make the blockchain technology work, and it's a relatively low cap with very low bonuses. So we've got a lot of really good potential here for this ICO. Anyway, there will be a link down below to their webpage. You can come over here and check it out. Let me know what you think about Debitum Network in the comment section down below. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time, guys.